All right, Ellen has a 4-point bustle. That means we have 4 spots down here in the train that we are going to lift up when she is ready to have a temporary hem at the back. So we do have 2 different layers of fabric that are different lengths. So we are bustling those separately. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this up to Ellen for just a moment, and we're going to get a little closer. So this bustle that's on the inside is actually right next to her skin. So when you're bustling this, don't just lift the dress all the way up because it's right next to her skin. Be careful. All right, so we're gonna lift this up and we're gonna look down the center seam. These are 2 different fabrics that we are bustling together. The first thing that we see is this ribbon loop. This is not a bustle point. This is a hang strap when she's not wearing it. So ignore it and keep going till we get to this yellow that we have right here. Now you can see, and we have some yellow even higher. We're gonna go ahead and tie these together as close as possible. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're not getting any of this extra fabric tied in there. So I was just push that away, and then we're going to tie these so these ribbons are meeting at the base. It's kind of tricky to get it on camera, but you can definitely feel in here where you're tightening that up. And then I'm just tying this into a bow. All of the ribbons I use are very grippy, so you don't need to tie them into knots. If you do, well, you have to clip it to get it undone. But we're just gonna let that kind of go, and that gets that up away from her feet. Thank you. So now this outer bustle is a little bit different. We're gonna end up pulling some ribbon strings out of the upper portion of the train and some ribbon loops that are down here. So we're gonna start with these ribbon strings. So if we come here to the bottom of the zipper and then go down about 6 inches, we're gonna come to these little ribbons right here, okay? There's some little knots on it so that it doesn't get sucked into the fabric. We're gonna go ahead and grab onto those and pull those out all the way. Now all of these outer bustle points have buttons behind, so you pull until it stops, and that's when that button is hitting the back of the fabric. That stops that from hurting her dress and adds a strength and security to the bustle point. So there's our first one. The second one is gonna be over about 6 inches and slightly diagonal, just right here. And then we have another one just like that on the opposite side. So it's just right here. So we have 3 ribbon strings. We're gonna have 3 ribbon loops in the train that we're gonna bustle up to each one of those. So there's gonna be one in the center that goes to the center point, one on the right, one on the left. So to find these, we're again going to the back center of the train, and we're gonna lift that up. Again, the first thing that we're gonna see is this clear loop. Not part of the bustle, it is a hang strap, so ignore that. Keep following that seam. This is what we are gonna be looking for. It is a little button with a ribbon attached. Again, this one is our center point, so it's gonna go to the center one. So I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna look on the right. There's one here, and if I look on the left, there's another one there. So what I like to do is I work from my outsides in, that way I always have a placement marker and I'm not gonna get these all mixed up. So I'm gonna come over here to the right, hold on to this button ribbon, and I'm gonna come to the outside of the fabric. You can see my fingers wiggling, and I can feel where that ribbon is coming through, and it's just this little sparkle right there. So I am gonna go ahead and pull it out. Now, there is a trick that if you have fake nails or you're having a hard time gripping that, I'm gonna give you a little crochet hook that's gonna be on her bag. So what you can end up doing with this, it's just a tiny little crochet hook. You can have this kind of help you grip that and pull it out. You'll just use that little end there, okay? So there's that piece. This one's gonna go to the right. I'm gonna get pretty close here. If you had 2 people, someone can hold the weight of the train, but you can do it by yourself by just sticking that fabric underneath your leg and doing it like this. We're gonna bring that loop all the way up. That way you can make sure it's the correct height. If you have it drooping down, it will be however many inches too long. Okay, so there's our first one. We'll take care of that ribbon in a second. We're gonna do the same thing here to the left side. So there's my center seam. So I'm looking over here on the left. There it is. And then again, this one's just coming out right there. It is just has a different sheen to it, so that kind of helps find it. Same thing here. I really just suggest having 10-15 minutes set aside so that you can do this bustle without stressing out. It's totally fine once you know what you're looking for. You can totally do this. All right, there's that one. Our last one's here down the center. There's that last bustle point. Yep, and there it is right there. Okay. So this last point goes right up front here. I'll show you next how to hide these ribbons. I'm gonna do it on just one, but you're gonna do it on all three of them. That way it's happier all the way around. Okay, again, if you have a little bit of a hard time with getting this through, use that crochet hook from, like you come from behind around and then grab those ribbons and pull them backwards. Another way to do that, I guess I'll show you over here, is if you don't want to try that, you can twist the ribbons up nice and tight. Then I use my thumb and press them through the loop and pull them backwards. So I guess I did two, not one. But that's what you'll do to kind of hide those ribbons. As she walks and dances and is just herself, the bustle kind of does whatever it wants. But if you're going to have a picture that's going to display it, just like when the train is down, you want to fluff it out. So we're going to find that very back center, and we're going to find that and bring it forward and just let everything else kind of fall the way it wants to. And that is her 4-point bustle.